Hello and welcome to Tarmac. I am Dave McLeod.
I'm Matthew, and today we're on Her Majesty's Secret Service because we've got this, the new Aston Martin DBX707.
That's right, it's the most powerful, most performance-driven and just most excellent car in its class. It's amazing. Come, let's take a look at this. Okay, when I say the most powerful in its class, I mean basically this vehicle is longer and much heavier, let's face it, than a DBS, but it's basically 0.1 of a second faster at 0 to 100. So this is a monster in a beautiful shell. Looking around it, you guys have all probably seen the DBX in its normal DBX, which is obviously not normal, but this is the 707, so we'll just go through some of the tweaks for you. So you've got these beautiful bonnet louvres, which are actually quite hot and stuff like that, but these come in carbon fiber there. The big thing that to point out is this big grille that's really getting so much airflow into that engine, which we'll get to in a moment. The LED lights here are a different configuration, better designed or differently designed, and also the front splitter, look at that, just there to make sure that the airflow gets straight round and into the car, and I don't know, just amazing. Let's take a look around the side. Now, although the 707 has basically been upgraded, I mean, by itself as a sort of base level model, this has been fully optioned as well. So we'll go through the options again as we can. But first of all, look at this satin titanium grey paintwork, which in virtually any sunlight looks green. So it's not the emerald green option, it is the titanium grey option. There you go. But it's just amazing, and it's sort of a paintwork you want to rub yourself against. But don't get me on that. The wheels themselves again have been upgraded from a 22 to a 23. What that does is it improves the steering stuff, so it gives you a little bit more preciseness in your steering, and also gives you a faster lap time, so well worth getting those. And behind it we've got these bronze painted or bronze colored pistons or brake calipers, and they are 6 pistons, so it does bring this car to an absolute an abrupt halt. So basically your hair comes right forward if you've got some. Anyway, looking down here, some more carbon fiber. You've got these lovely pronounced sills, which are very, very cool. Some carbon fiber door mirror caps here, and the glass here is double glazed, so making sure that none of the sounds from outside come in. And when you do come in through these flush door mounts, you can actually get in and then soft close on the way through. Beautiful. Some privacy glass back here, and more big rubber, really wide at the back here. And actually, let's go and look around the back, because there's so much more going on there. We have the addition of this nice, actually carbon fiber again, spoiler at the top here. All of the badging, actually all round, has been is basically optioned up to be this darker color, which matches well with this paintwork. You've got a twin diffuser down here, so it's actually a diffuser with an extra bit of diffusing, so lots of diffusing going back here, and just there this massive reversing light here, so just flooding. Actually it doesn't flood the light, but basically tiny. Look at that. And the big thing, actually big 4 things, is look at the size of these quad exhausts. They're massive and just so overpowering and so noisy when you get it going, when you get that engine just thrusting forward. Actually, let's go and have a look at the engine. Okay, so under this semi-clamshell style bonnet, which is, and you've got to be careful there actually, is this 4-litre twin-turbo V8. I love it when it's written on here. And the turbos are actually right in the middle of the V, so they're really hot turbos, and it is a hot car, so it's great. What it is, it gives you, well, actually strapped to a 9-speed auto transmission with a wet clutch, so it's just an amazing configuration. And what it gives you is 707 PS and 900 Newton meters of torque. I mean, this is a monster. 0 to 100, as I say, is 3.3 seconds 0 to 100. So this is a lot of weight to get you going fast, and obviously those big brakes are going to stop you. And this engine itself has actually been finally basically inspected by Stephen Holmes, which I understand he's a very good bloke, a nice married guy, lovely family. Anyway, I know nothing about him. Anyway, speaking of lovely guys, Matthew's inside. He's not lovely, and he'll tell you about what's going on in there.
Now I'll let you sort of assume your character judgments of me, but something that isn't so lovely is the options list on this car. We have got about $80,000 worth of specifications on this, and some of them include the colored cabin carpets, easy for me to say, the bronze brake calipers, which you saw, of course, the privacy glass. There's even a first aid kit, which is marked as functional on here. There is the smoked tail lights, so somebody's put them over a barbecue for like 10 hours. There's the exterior color, of course, which you saw, that lovely satin. You get a functional umbrella and holder, which we haven't been able to find yet, but I'm sure it's in here somewhere. And the wheels and the stitching, which is also mirrored, and it just goes on and on and on. We even have the thicker carpet option on here for extra luxury. And speaking of luxury, well, using a word like that is sort of an understatement to a car like this, to be honest, because, I mean, everywhere you look, and our backseat passenger can attest to this, is there's no compromise between the materials on the front doors and the front area and the back. You've got, he frankly couldn't find a surface which wasn't either covered in leather or carbon fiber or that thick shag pile carpet. And if you think I'm joking, well, this headlining above me is actually leather covered all the way to the back, I can see there. So just imagine how ludicrous a thought like that is. But, well, Aston have just gone and done it, as to be expected from them. Speaking of the materials, well, I'll just do a quick cover of all that you can see there. So the dashboard, well, that's all leather covered. You've got that mirrored stitching all along there, the top, all along here as well. Leather here, leather there, leather down the bottom. And this car comes with the optional jewelry pack for the interior, which includes this carbon fiber trim on the center console here, and lots of carbon fiber on the doors and so on. Again, framed in leather along here. What really does confuse me is the fact that the transmission controls are up here, along with that beautiful Aston engine start-stop button, which of course you'll use your gold finger to press. Now, looking at the seats, well, they are finished in this beautiful leather. Oh, it's just so soft and so lovely to sit in. Heated, of course, just like the steering wheel, which is also heated, and that's duotone, as is the interior, because the seats, if you have a closer look at them, are a mixture of a green color and a bluish color, and you've got that Aston Martin logo sort of stitched into the headrest as well. Unfortunately, diamonds aren't forever, because there's no sort of quilting on this seat, but it's still got a really rich pattern that flows through it. Really beautiful, honestly. This interior is a work of art. Look, it's even having me speechless here. But because this is a family SUV, they haven't forgotten about the practicality. So you've got some generous sized door bins down the side there, of course lined in soft stuff as well. You've got space underneath the center console here, which actually hides your wireless charger for your phone. That also has an Aston Martin logo on it, by the way, if you were wondering. You've got your two cup holders here, which have space for your key, which has a little leather case of its own with a little sort of metallic pin on it. Very lavish. And this central armrest, I was looking for a button to open it earlier, and I couldn't figure out because I couldn't get it to open. But because of the leather and the build, it's just so heavy that you kind of, if you're a little bit weak, you have to use two hands to actually get it open. And you get space, of course, underneath there, along with USB chargers and a cigarette lighter charger and all that stuff. Plenty of technology there, as you've just seen, and there is plenty more in the infotainment screen. So for your eyes only, let's take a look at this. Now, the infotainment screen, as you can see there, has got a really nice sort of rake to it in terms of the look, and right now I have turned it off, and you are presented with that lovely Aston Martin clock there. And just look at the colors, that bronze sort of thing, and the Aston Martin logo on the clock face there. It's just a work of art, and I could stare at that all day, but we haven't got all day. So if I turn the screen on, which then presents you with, of course, the Aston Martin logo and a little warning about the traffic, as is normal. It doesn't even let you accept, it just sort of takes its time, as you should with this car. You're presented with, well, I jump a bit, but the home screen here, and look at that, how cool is it? The vehicle has got a DB5 on it, and if I flick through, it's got the standard stuff like, you know, your navigation, radio, all of that, but the one you really want to be in is the vehicle settings. So if I press enter in there, you can toggle between the climate mode, the drive modes, assistance, lots of different vehicle settings, but you really want to be in the drive mode. So configuring it individually, you can choose between different suspension, steering, drive, exhaust system settings. Of course, you want all of these to be in Sport Plus because you only live twice, right? Go back and you can toggle around some more with more settings if you go into the system settings menu there, and that allows you to play around with what is an excellent audio system. For example, it doesn't have a name brand on it as far as we can find, but Aston have done a fantastic job on it. It really sounds like a Thunderball. Go back again, and I mean, just look at that screen. I can just stare at it all day, but if you want to quickly switch between the menus, there is a drive settings button on the center console, and if I press that, I can then switch between the various different driving modes. So going right from terrain to Sport Plus, and that actually changes the screen in front of the driver. So let's take a look at that. Well, firstly, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm sitting behind the wheel of an Aston Martin SUV, the most powerful Aston Martin SUV ever, and the most powerful SUV in general. So never say never when you think SUVs can't get any crazier than this or than the previous DBX, to be honest, because here we are in an even faster one. Now, that gauge cluster in front, well, right now I've got it set into terrain mode, so you can see it's a little bit sort of sedate, and you've got all the basic factual information that you need there. You've got your rev counter on the right, you've got your speedo on the left. Top right shows your gear, and then you can see a little DB5 logo there for the lane keep assist, and then on the left side an icon showing what the driving mode is, and then the suspension setting as well. So you can see we're raised all the way up there right now. And if I use that central driving mode button to switch down, I can go into individual, which is my custom setting. I can go into GT, which is probably what you'll be using most of the time, your grand touring mode. Then I can go into sport, which is where things really start to heat up, and Sport Plus, which is my absolute favorite, because look at that, everything goes red. You can see the revs climb slightly, the exhaust goes into the mode where all the flaps are open, so you can hear it just sort of idling away in the background. And then, I mean, just look at all the red stuff there. Everything is outlined in red, the DBX as well, even the gearing there. Even though we're sitting in park, I feel like I'm going fast because it's outlined in red. That's just, you know, just so cool to look at. And the steering wheel itself is a piece of art in that sense too, because you just look at it, it's duotone leather, and you can see all the stitchings in the different areas and how they've put together many layers of leather to coat the steering wheel in. You've got, of course, that Aston Martin badge in the middle there, buttons on either side. For the right side controls that screen, your gauge cluster in front of you, and then the left side is your active cruise control and your phone calls and stuff. And then behind the steering wheel you have those lovely carbon fiber paddle shifters, and I mean, they're just amazing to hold and to feel. And they are stationed in place, they don't move with the steering wheel, so they're always sort of there when whichever angle you're turning around. That's the interior covered, all of it. As you saw, there is a lot to go through, and there's just, I mean, the world is not enough. There's just leather for days in here, and the carbon fiber and the Alcantara, and it's just an amazing place to be. But what's really the special point about this DBX707 is the way it drives and that pure performance you get from the engine. So let's take it for a drive.
Okay, so the good thing about this DBX is that if you like your neighbours, you can actually start it here in soft or quieter mode, or if you don't like them and you really want to prove what you've got on it, you pull this paddle back here and get it going, and Just listen to it pop. And just let them know that you've got something that's worth 500 grand on your driveway. And then the other thing is pulling away.
As you just saw, it can quite literally scare the living daylights out of you.
Okay, so the Aston Martin DBX707. Look, we all know what the DBX is like, and this just takes it to a whole new level. But it's for those people that like to take it on the track or like to sleep in and want to take their kids to school at just record speed. So just amazing as far as that goes.
It's definitely got enough of power and acceleration to make you lose your license to kill. I mean, thrill.
Oh, Doctor, no more of those references. Jesus. Look, I wish we had sort of scratch vision, smell vision sort of thing on this, because getting in this car, just the scent of leather is everywhere, and it's so upmarket and so beautiful. It just makes you feel important and full of luxury, but also just the fact that these performance seats and that performance engine just gives you that whole performance feel.
To top that all off, you have the luxury of that massive sunroof, so you can lie back and watch the sky fall. And then once you're done with that, well, the technology in here is frankly what they would have had on the Moonraker, to be honest.
Oh, save me. But let's talk about that acceleration. I mean, 4 litres of just raw power, but which is amazing. I mean, and an exhaust note that comes with it as well. It just yells and screams. But it's also how well poised this is. All of the undercarriage of this vehicle has been fettled with. The suspension's been retuned. The chassis has been tightened up. The whole thing is just better as far as anti-roll goes. So it's just a car that you can carry a lot of speed into corners and just be quite comfortable with.
I mean, you put your foot down, even, 2/3 of the way or 1/3 of the way or whatever, and you just get thrown back into your seat. Your head just, slams the headrest as you're going around. The acceleration is just immense. And then, as Dave talked about, that chassis and the body, it's so tight and so well tuned. So when you go around a corner like that, even though this is quite a high riding car and quite a high car in general, you're not, sloshing around everywhere. The grip is just immense.
As we pointed out, or as we probably should point out, it's a very heavy vehicle. I mean, we're trying to get the things for it. We think it's almost 2.9 tons, but I mean, that's a lot of weight to be carrying around, and most of it's going to be cowhide. But it's just, it feels well settled and really comfortable, and regardless of what speed you want to put into the corners in. And you will want to put it into the corners quickly. Whoa.
And
wow.
I was just speaking to Dave earlier about this, because if you wind back, 10 years ago, this sort of acceleration and this sort of power and this speed was something exclusive to two-seater supercars with massive, V10s, V12s. And fast forward 10 years now to the present, and we're doing that sort of performance in a family SUV with 5 seats and a 4-liter twin-turbo V8 in the front. Who would have thought?
This is no regular family SUV, though. The rest of the stuff, I mean, visibility around is very DBX-y. Great visibility around, and actually the rear seats are not that compromised. It does have the headrest there, but the middle one's quite low, so that's fine. Steering feels lovely and well weighted into your hands, and just as far as looking around over that bonnet, you'd see the little louvres across the bonnet, but it doesn't feel that big. I mean, it is larger than a DBS, and like I said before, heavier than a DBS, but it just doesn't feel that way.
Well, actually, I think an easier word to describe what Dave's trying to say here is it feels sort of octopusy, actually, in the way that it grips the corners as if it had, 8 tentacles or how many ever.
Wow. The stereo system, I think Matthew probably brought it up. It's not any particular brand, but boy, it's good. It's as powerful as the vehicle it's sitting in, and offers this sort of really surround sound acoustic, which is great.
I mean, all of that stuff, it's just, to call this an SUV and to call this, you know, family SUV, a family car, all that stuff is sort of feels like understating it, because it does tick all of those boxes at a low level, but the level of luxury and comfort and just the premium feeling that it adds, well, I don't know honestly what to say about that, and there's no alternative when it comes to this car, to be honest.
The tech does lay it down slightly. I mean, it's great for those that are after a modern tech, but for those that have been in vehicles that are far more modern in the infotainment side, this is a little bit dated. But honestly, I don't think you'll really worry too much about that.
I mean, you don't even get a touchscreen. It's sort of all knobs and dials and buttons, but I think we're sort of traditionalists in that respect, where we actually appreciate those touches a bit more than just having a touchscreen that, you know, attracts all your fingerprints.
And maybe it just doesn't interfere with the drive, because who'd want to interfere with the drive?
And the fact that your most important knob, that drive mode setting knob or dial, is right in the middle there next to the infotainment controls, and that's where your hands gotta be, right?
Yeah, the other, I don't know, again, if Matthew has brought this up, but pushing into manual means that you make sure you keep all of your gears in the gear that you want, so you have far more control. But honestly, take this for a drive and use the paddles, because you are in full control.
And at this point, to be honest, both my neck as well as my face is starting to hurt, because from smiling a lot and from being thrown back into my seat so much.
Mental. So there you have it. If I can stop smiling. The new DBX707. It's code name for real, just great fun and an exhilarating performance. It does offer practicality as far as family goes, but you're going to scare the living. Well, actually, you are going to scare them. Anyway, it's amazing. That's my viewpoint.
Honestly, it's a spectre of a car, to be honest. It's just looks so great, the angles and the lines and the noise and the leather, and I could just keep going on and on about my admiration for this car, to be honest. Big fan, as you can see, and of the Bond movies, as you could tell too.
I think we just got to go to Casino Royale and get enough money to buy one. Anyway, see you next time.